Republican Congressman Ed Royce of California is chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and he's joining us now. Congressman Royce, we appreciate your time right now. I want to get your sense in simple language of what you expect to hear from the president tonight.
What I would anticipate hearing is that the president has a strategy in order to bring in some of the Gulf state countries. After all, this war is in their region. We want them to provide the infantry on the ground. We don't want U.S. combat troops to be doing that job that can be done by the Peshmerga forces, you know, the Kurdish forces or the Free Syrian Army. We would expect to hear that NATO has been solicited and that some major European powers, and we understand this is underway, will be part of the airstrikes, that Australia will be part of these airstrikes, because the United States does not want to go this alone, and frankly we want to hear that the Gulf states, Arab states, are helping to pay for this operation as well.
Well, Congressman, you're a good person to address this to. You met with representatives of the Free Syrian Army this week. That's a moderate opposition among the groups that the president now says the U.S. would train if Congress approves it. But there's a story that came out just today from that region that makes it clear just how complex that may be. This is from the Daily Star. We'll put it up on the screen, where General Idris, one of the FSA, the Free Syrian Army leaders, acknowledges, quote, "We are collaborating with the Islamic State and the Nusra Front," that's the al-Qaeda offshoot, "by attacking the Syrian army's gatherings." Another commander says, "We have reached a point where we have to collaborate with anyone against unfairness and injustice." So that said, does the U.S. want to get into the business, or can they afford to get into the business of dealing with groups where it's not entirely clear who you're dealing with and where they stand?
You know, here you have to, because they're defending Aleppo, right? And in Aleppo, what is happening is Assad's forces with artillery and with planes are bombing them. And so the question, some reporter says, well, are you both fighting Assad? Yes, they are both fighting Assad. But the point is, and this was the argument that my colleague Eliot Engel of New York, the ranking Democratic member, made on the committee, if we are not arming the secular Free Syrian forces, that void gets filled instead by ISIL, right? So the president is coming around to this position saying, okay, if we're going to have, because we have had so far a lot of military engagements, Free Syrian Army fighting ISIL, and because the Kurds want to fight ISIL. The Kurdish foreign minister told us last week he needed anti-tank missiles. He needed artillery in order to fight back against ISIL. It's time we gave them those weapons, but it's time that we commit to this idea. They have to provide the infantry. Arab states also have to provide the infantry, not us. And they have to pay for a big share of this cost. And it has to be the Europeans joining us in this effort, because America's had enough of going it alone.
And again, Congressman, and perhaps quickly here, but this is important, the topic of exit strategy right now, in language that people get. How do we know that we've won? When is this done?
I'll tell you when I think it's done. The number one problem you have with terrorism like this is the use of a base and the ability to train and equip, you know, and bring in foreign fighters onto those bases where they have a safe haven. You eliminate the safe haven. So if the airstrikes go in and knock out the safe haven, and then if Kurdish forces, Iraqi security forces come in there and overrun those positions, then you've done the job with air power, and I think that's what we're looking to do. We want to have those who beheaded Americans held responsible. They've said they're going to bring the war, you know, back to the capitals of Europe and back to the United States. Let's make sure they're the target of an effort to eliminate them and their base.
Congressman Ed Royce, we appreciate you joining us on what's going to be a busy day there. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Don't miss the